I don't need a title. I need to be the best in this division.
#1 contender Brandon Moreno gets it done tonight.
I need to be the best in this division, so I'm so ready for that.
Deiveson Figeiredo seems like he's got the goods.
He's just a different kind of flyweight.
Deiveson Figueiredo!
Blood is pouring out, you see it there in the bang! Huge gash on the head open, blood pouring out from everywhere, and Deiveson smells the blood and just says, good night.
What's up, fight fans? Today's Ultimate Fighting Breakdown is going to be a real treat as we gear up for one of the most anticipated trilogies in MMA history. Brandon Moreno versus Deiveson Figueiredo 3. Narrowly missing out on the 2020 Fight of the Year award in their first fight, these two warriors pushed each other to their limits, proving themselves perfect equals in a majority draw. 6 months later, in the rematch, had MMA fans from every corner of the world tuning in to see who would emerge victorious. After a combined 8 rounds of fighting, Brandon Moreno imposed his will, securing a 3rd round submission by way of rear naked choke. On January 22nd at UFC 270, Figueiredo will have one last chance to reclaim his belt from the man who took it from him. Meanwhile, Moreno will be looking to close this chapter once and for all by proving he is the better fighter.
Figgy Breakdown.
They don't get much more rags to riches than Deiveson Figueiredo. From working as a sushi chef, hairdresser, and bricklayer, to becoming a UFC champion and being widely recognized as the 2020 Fighter of the Year. Deuce Guerra has been chasing the top of the mountain ever since he landed in the UFC. Currently tied with the legendary Demetrious Johnson for most finishes in the division, Figgy will look to surpass the great Mighty Mouse, cementing himself as the greatest finisher in the flyweight division. Considering his humble beginnings, Figueiredo's hunger translates into savagery in the cage. He uses his formidable power and ferocity to bombard opponents with heavy shots and is incredibly hard to control on the ground.
Referee stepping in, that is it! Deiveson Figueiredo is still undefeated!
Notable wins over Alexandre Pantoja, Alex Perez, and Joseph Benavidez paved the way to championship gold, and with it came a wage which Figueiredo used to elevate himself and his family to new heights and a better life. If he wants to go and spend some of those wages on buying a water buffalo bull and naming it Ferdinand, he can go right on ahead and live his best life. He's earned it many times over. Up next, a man who is also no stranger to hunger and passion for the martial arts. Stay with us and keep watching as we delve deeper into this exciting fight by taking a closer look at Brandon, the assassin baby Moreno.
Moreno Breakdown.
At 5 years younger than his rival, 28-year-old flyweight champion Brandon Moreno boasts a complete toolbox of tricks and skills, with time on his side. Sky's the limit with this kid, and I call him a kid because through all the grueling hours spent on the mats just grinding, Moreno still takes time to play with Legos, by his own admission, spending way too much money on the hobby. He even celebrated his title fight win by visiting a Lego store. Would you believe there's even a petition to get Lego and Moreno into a partnership? If any of that gave you the wrong idea that Brandon Moreno is not about his business, we apologize for misleading you because this man is trouble in the octagon. At number 10 on the men's UFC pound-for-pound rankings, Moreno took the scenic route to becoming one of the UFC's most beloved athletes. His story involves getting cut from the UFC in late 2018, only to come back a year later and achieve a career that is the stuff of dreams.
Me siento algo triste porque no es el resultado que esperaba. Pero estoy orgulloso de mí, ¿no? No todos están aquí.
For this, he would win the 2021 Fighting Spirit of the Year at the World MMA Awards. Oh, and just a couple other awards like 2021 Breakthrough Fighter of the Year and a Fight of the Year award for his first fight against Figueiredo. In addition to one of the most charming personalities in MMA, Brandon Moreno has used stunning boxing skills and a wicked BJJ game to notch victories over Jussier Formiga, Kai Kara France, Brandon Royval, and of course, Deiveson Figueiredo. Surpassing all his peers and eventually the champion himself, Brandon Moreno, who promised to be champion more than 4 years earlier, became the first ever Mexican-born UFC champion.
You can do it, you know, free commercial, but you can do it and never give up.
Stay with us as we break down both these fighters' attributes for you and get a clear picture of what we can expect at UFC 270.
Height and reach.
Brandon Moreno has 2 inches on Figueiredo in reach and 1 inch on him in height. which could be a huge factor in why Figueiredo isn't able to swarm Moreno like he does so regularly. At 70 inches, Moreno's reach is incredibly advantageous for a flyweight. For reference, Max Holloway, who is 2 weight classes above Moreno, only has a 69-inch reach. In a game of inches like MMA, every advantage can be a crucial factor in deciding the fight. Coming up next, we'll delve into the striking ability of both men for you guys.
Striking.
So, let's start off with Deiveson Figueiredo and what he brings to the table. Physicality. He is explosive. His striking is not methodical or nuanced. Instead, Figgy is a rare blend of accuracy, power, and a granite chin, supported by impeccable timing. These attributes allow Figueiredo to rely on catching his opponents with counters, where instead of backing up where many fighters would under pressure, he squares his hips and fires off heavy counter shots. Although that leaves him vulnerable to return fire, Figueiredo has confidence his shot will land to more devastating effect. 59% striking accuracy and 9 out of 17 finishes by way of KO, TKO prove his confidence is well earned. However, having such a strong reliance on counter-striking means that when you have a patient opponent, chances are scarce, which forces errors. For example, Deiveson had much more success against Benavidez than against Formiga, despite Benavidez being the more skilled striker on paper. That's likely because Benavidez is the more aggressive fighter, which increased the chances of Figueiredo landing one of his powerful shots. Formiga, on the other hand, was able to pick Figgy apart on the outside and make him pay for overextending.
Que a arte marajoara eu aprendi com meu avô, eu aprendi com meu pai, e eu quero manter muito vivo essa arte. O nome dele sempre esteja em altas, né, no esporte. E até mesmo a luta marajoara.
Stay with us as we begin to examine how Brandon Moreno fits into all of this. So we've established that Deiveson Figueiredo is a pressure-fighting wrecking ball. We've seen from their first fight that he's able to land the more damaging shots on a consistent basis. However, Brandon Moreno took the best that Figueiredo had to offer and ended up choking the Brazilian wild man in the 3rd round. Was it down to Moreno's 2-inch reach advantage? Was it because so many of Figueiredo's heavy blows were swallowed up in Moreno's 58% striking defense? Or could it be that despite 2 fouls every man feels and eating some fight-ending shots, Brandon Moreno stood up again and again to come back at Deiveson with every ounce of ill intent he could manage? If you've ever seen 300 or heard of the Battle of Thermopylae, you'll understand what happens when the underdog just will not go away. After a hard-fought draw the first time, Figueiredo was forced to re-enter the cage against a man whom he had vastly underestimated and who was snapping at his heels, while Moreno had the proof and the validation that he belongs at the very top with the very best and that he could truly beat the man in front of him with one final push. Moreno carried the same strategy from the first fight of focusing attacks on the lead side, finding plenty of success with the lead hook as well as establishing his jab early on. The lead leg kick also found a home more often than not, prompting hurried responses from Figueiredo. It was eventually a sudden grappling exchange and some savvy work from Moreno that saw the Mexican fighter claim the champion's back, before sinking in a choke to end the fight. On that note, stay tuned to see how the grappling pedigree of these fighters match up.
Grappling.
Brandon Moreno boasts 11 submissions out of his 19 wins. 3 KO, TKOs, and 5 decisions make up his full resume. However, it was through his BJJ roots that he secured the belt against a fierce champion. A legit black belt in the discipline, Moreno first entered the UFC as a predominantly BJJ fighter and filled in the gaps with crisp boxing and Muay Thai fundamentals. However, an average of 2.05 takedowns per 15 minutes suggests he still relies on his grappling game despite being plenty capable on the feet. Against a fighter such as Figueiredo, being able to stop 65% of takedowns as Moreno has is a huge deal. Figueiredo, as we mentioned, is an intensely physical fighter with that explosive athletic ability. So when he decides he's taking you down, he uses that 52% takedown accuracy to put you on the ground, seemingly so much bigger than the other flyweights, and uses his strength to just bully opponents. Even if he's the one taken down, he's a menace in a scramble and usually finds his way back up. So Moreno having such a high takedown defense forces Figgy to shoot one more time than usual, reach further and empty that gas tank a little more than usual, take a little more sting out of each shot that Deiveson will try and throw later. Quite often, certain fighters can run through 99% of the division except for that one guy that seems to have all the answers. It could just all boil down to the simple fact that Deiveson Figeiredo has found his huckleberry in Brandon Moreno.
Conclusion.
With all that in mind, here comes the part where we try to give you our best shot at a conclusion. Both men like to finish the fight. Moreno finishing 14 of his 19 wins with 11 submissions, while Figueiredo boasts 9 KO, TKO, and 8 submissions out of 20 victories. That said, Moreno has never been on the wrong end of a finish, and will look to maintain that record going into the trilogy fight. If that carries weight with you as a betting fan, good money says Moreno is able to maintain the distance like Formiga did against Figgy and avoid getting knocked out, especially if he can maintain his great takedown defense. On the other hand, Figgy has only been finished by one man. In addition to reclaiming his beloved belt, he will be wanting to get even on that account as well. All in all, if you lean towards ruthless aggression or fear the vengeful man, Deiveson Figueiredo is your ticket. However, if you're a by-the-numbers kind of fan, there's no denying that Brandon Moreno is the obvious choice. If you're still unsure where to put your money, the Betting Insider Journal opens up the odds for this fight with Moreno as a -157 favorite to Figgy's +137 underdog status, with a prediction of Moreno by finish. And now that concludes our breakdown for today. We hope you had as much fun watching it as we had making it. So what do you guys think? And still or and new? I'm still working on that. Sound off in the comments who you think is going to win, and if you're feeling generous and haven't already done all that great stuff, please hit a like and subscribe so that the algorithm likes us and we can pump out more great content for you, the fans. Till next time.